Right, a quick review of a couple of items. I went to Hatton's last week and I bought two things. One was a gunpowder van. It's something I've not had before. This is made by Daypol. It's LNWR gunpowder van weathered. Now, the thing that struck me about this is that it's very heavily weathered, unlike the usual weathering that's done by manufacturers, which is usually light dusting, and it looks as though they've used two different colours, frame dirt on the underside and a darker colour of weathering for the sides, and even perhaps a grey weathering on the top. So really I was able to compare the weathered and unweathered, and the pristine, you can see the lettering standing out very clearly, and here you can barely read the lettering through the weathering. So that's I believe an unusual departure to see such heavy weathering on a brand new ready to run model from a manufacturer. The other thing I bought was it's on a little shunting loco. You may have seen on my other videos the shunting layouts, and we're just sitting underneath block yard. Oh, it's not showing up very well there. Now, I was attracted to this because this is a very attractive looking loco, and it's from a source that I've never used before. I'm just running it in on the rolling road. It's from a manufacturer called Electrotren. As you can see from the language on the side there, I believe that's Italian, and it's a National Coal Board industrial steam locomotive, 060, distributed by On Tracks Wholesale Limited. Now, as far as I can understand, Hornby have actually bought out this company, so this company is owned by Hornby now, although it is presumably still the Italian manufacturer. And they've made a rather neat example of a locomotive. And now, because on a previous review I was asked by one of the viewers to do some comparative reviewing, I will do some sort of brief comparison between this and other small shunting locomotives that I have. The main thing about this one that struck me straight away is a completely unintruded cab area, including back head detail and picked out in detail. What was the other thing that struck me about it? Apart from that, it's completely no intrusions in there. Finely detailed valve gear on it, from the same stable in a way is the long-lived Hornby Pug. It's only 040, very crude valve gear, but the cab is totally intruded upon by the motor, so it's very difficult to get any crew in there. I've put crew into one of my other ones. I have a couple of these, which it certainly improves it. What's the other thing? Well, I've got two of these. You may be able to see, I've not taken it out of its box, that there is a crew member in this one. This is the weathered one with a driver, and I think I've got a fireman on the other side. I didn't pay the current price for these because some of these are quite old, but they're now £57. This from Hatton's was under £50, 40 some pounds, so under £50, so cheaper than the current version of this one. Now what we need to do is compare slow running. because the key thing about all these shunting locomotives is how well they run for slow running. It doesn't say that it's DCC ready, and it might be that you have great difficulty fitting a DCC chip. But prototypically, these would only pull 1 or 2 wagons, and so on your layout, you're not going to be wanting to pull more than 1 or 2 wagons, i.e. no heavy loads. So you shouldn't be drawing too much current, meaning that it should be possible to put a small N gauge, N scale DCC chip into them. So what I'm thinking is, and I've yet to try it, is that if they can fit DCC chips into N-scale locomotives, there ought to be room within that to fit one of the smaller chips, and we're not needing to have the larger, higher power chips in a device that's as small as that. I'll see if there's focus on it, so you can see the detail in them. Right, so that's a very quick comparison with that, with the Pug being from the same stable. I think this is going to be lower cost and perhaps cheaper. The other shunting locomotives that I've got, my favourite, it is steam outline, it looks more like diesel, and you've probably seen it before, is the Sentinel, which was the model rail special, but produced by Daypol. And you will have seen the Sentinel in other reviews, so you'll know a little bit about that. It all started with these 040 locomotives. I have a couple of these that I've worked on, cleaned up and tried to get running. One runs fine, the other one, this one in particular, this one is the one that doesn't run well. This is the one that looks cleaner and looks like it ought to run better, but certainly doesn't in spite of everything I've done. But both of them have high gearing. High gearing meaning that you're not going to get very good slow running characteristics. The Sentinel that we just looked at has got low gearing. An alternative, it's not steam outline, is a little freelance diesel. Actually, it's I think it's a D57, something like that. A kit built onto a bogie chassis, but it has very small wheels. That's okay for very basic operation, but small wheels tend to get dirty more quickly than larger wheels, and it will stall when you've not got. Let's bring that back into shot. Now, very nice, but not for me. I'll show you the case. Is the Daypol Terrier 060 D71, it says there. This, as you can see from the box, is an older model. It does run well. It is 060. However, I understand these only ran in the south of England, and therefore aren't suitable for my region, which is the north of England. And in fact, but it does have a clear cab area. It has some sort of back head detail, and so it's really quite a nice model. It must have inside valve gear, so there's no external valve gear to see on it. Not that you know, that's essential. And so if you aren't fussy about the region, or you operate southern region, then a Terrier is certainly an alternative. Right, let's bring these over. What we're looking at here, 3Fs. I have a Hornby 3F. I've actually got two Bachmann 3Fs. One is the LMS version, the other BR black lined crest version. The Hornby one was cheaper. The Hornby one is the SDJR version. Sorry about the reflection off there. And my comparison is not going to be, I'm not going to show you these just now. They are larger locomotives. That's just a picture of the real thing. And my sort of what I've found is that the Bachmann ones tend to run better. The older Bachmann ones are split chassis, Bachmann branch line, and you would have to be careful and beware of the problems that can arise from split chassis locomotives, especially if somebody hasn't used the right sort of oil, plastic friendly oil, for lubricating them, because there is a tendency for the plastic cogs to deteriorate on those. I'm going to put those aside for the time being, because the main objective is to compare the more similar ones, which really I guess would be to compare that with the Pug, because my purposes are to use these for similar tasks. This is an unscientific test of the Hornby Pug, trying to compare that with the Electrotren locomotive, National Coal Board shunting locomotive. Let's separate them a little bit. They're both on the same track, and in fact, as I'm trying to film it, one's catching up to the other. Up until the point of filming, they were running quite well, maintaining a similar distance between one another. The Electrotren model has not been fully run in yet, and so presumably will run more freely once it's finished running in. And we have a situation there where, you know, fairly well matched. So for the purposes that I'm looking for, I wasn't running them particularly slowly there. They are likely to be interchangeable in terms of usage. I'm hoping that the Electrotren one will be quite easy to use and good slow running once it's run in, and certainly the level of finish on this brand new model, I'm assuming it's brand new, it could have been used by them in a different livery, is really nice. Very pleasing purchase. As I say, less expensive than the Hornby, plenty of room in the cab, and likely to have very good slow running characteristics.